And we cannot forget emotion. Emotion drives football. So we cannot take emotion. However, we cannot let emotion control us, especially clubs. And sometimes people get offended by thinking that football clubs, they are run as companies. Well, although the passion for the game is there, the emotion is there, when we are working at a football club, we need to make sure that we can deliver whatever we promised. We need to make sure that we have the tools to provide to the other ones the opportunity for them to grow, to shine. Because eventually, when they shine, they're going to create emotions. But if there's no ground, if there's no foundations to support that growth, to support someone to shine, it's going to be very hard for you to be sustainable. Hello, and welcome to my new series. We're going to discuss football club management and how important there is for everyone around the sports world. Because let's be honest, majority of the time, especially from the grassroots, the smaller clubs, some of the private institutions as well, especially in the environment that we are in now, they struggle. And they struggle first because they don't have their own identity well defined. So basically, they run the operations, the day to day, season by season, uh, as normally you would probably would expect operations to run, but there's no guideline, there's no protocols, there's no processes, and in the end of the day, that is always detrimental to the decision making that you are implementing at the club. So the journey that I'm starting now is literally just to give you the basic foundations for you to have your club set up within the processes that are needed and required for then you prosper, for then you think about expansion, for then you think about the importance of the stakeholders. So we're going to merge all the functions of the football club in one series that is intended to help you to manage your club. Why is this relevant? Well, today we're going to start by the principles of the vision, the mission, the objectives, and of course the values of the club, because they are literally the backbone of your club. They are what is going to define you and what's going to make you different from all the other competitors within the market, because we live in a very competitive market. And you need to understand that. If it's a very competitive environment, if all the clubs are struggling in trying to find tools to be successful, not only on the field, but also successful on the board, on the financial side, if you want to have success, if you want to be sustainable, if you want to be consistent on whatever you're delivering at your club, you need strategy. But it starts with the values, it starts with the mission, and it starts with the vision. How you're going to implement that, that's exactly what we're going to delve into now. And by that, we need to start by defining what is mission and what is vision of the club. Mission and vision. Some people struggle to understand these two concepts. What is the mission? What is the vision? Are they conflicting with each other, or they are a complement to each other? Definitely, they are a complement to each other. Where when you have the mission should be your identity. Your identity starts in the mission that you're trying to provide. You should answer the question, why? Why are you doing things this way? Why are you different from the other ones? That is very important for you to understand. And at the mission, you should state your core values, why you are doing things this way, and also your non-negotiables, what you don't want to be doing as well. So clearly setting up what you want to achieve will help you and your organization, your staff, everyone at the organization to understand why they are doing things. Now, on the other side, but also as a complement, we have the vision. The vision should be something great, should be your desired point. When you think about where you are now as a point A and then the point B as something that you want to achieve, that is your vision. Normally, it's something great. I want to be the best club in the region. I want to be the best club in the city. I want to be the best club in the club, or sorry, in the country, or probably the best club in your continent, in the world. It doesn't matter. It should be something that clearly sets the ground for greatness. Something that it should be also achievable. So you want your vision to be great, so you inspire people. It should be inspirational as well, but also people need to feel related to that. If you are setting for a smaller club that you want to be the biggest club in your country, probably people will not resonate with that. So it should be something that people can resonate, should be something that people should aim for, but should be great. You should be striving for greatness. Now, the processes and the challenges will become with the strategies. But before we go through the strategies, you need to have your values. So now you understand your mission, now you understand your vision, you need to think about the values. The values should reflect exactly what you want at your club. What are the non-negotiables as the vision stated, but the values should also be something that is embodied within everyone that is there. I will give you a clear example. Most of the times the values will be around respect, teamwork. Because if you're talking about sports and mainly football, you're not going to do anything by yourself. So values are very much connected to respect, to teamwork, to resilience, to effort, commitment, and also trying to be competitive on the other side, because sports is also competitive. So you need to be competitive. You need to want to achieve great things. That will be amazing as values, but you need to define yours. You need to know what you want at your club. With the right set of vision, mission, and values, you are now in place to go chasing your objectives. Now, your objectives, there's always something that you can use, which are the SMART. The SMART objectives, they tend to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. Why is this relevant? Why is this achievable? Why is this something that you can measure as well? Well, all of these elements, also the specific, also the time bound, they are always something that you can rely on. Why can you use this kind of platform to start thinking about your objectives? Well, think about something that you want to achieve, but it's vague. It's going to be hard for you to measure. It's going to be hard for you even to chase it because it's vague. So you have no basegrounds. You have no nothing will help you on the decision making. Now think about this process, all of that we're going to speak here, as something that will help you on your decision making at your club. So when you think about SMART objectives, you know exactly what you're looking for because they're specific. You know exactly who is going to be accountable for that because there's a time bound. It's measurable. And they are relevant for whatever you're trying to implement at your club. So this is a very good framework for you to start working when you think about your objectives. Now, an example that I can give you from an objective is, let's say that your business model involves having franchises. So you want to expand to that side, or merch. You want to start selling things, products, or anything that is related to your club, a scarf, a hat, whatever it is, a t-shirt, whatever it is. You know exactly what is the objective, what is the time bound for that to happen. You know exactly how to measure it, if it's being successful or not. You know exactly how to measure it. It's very specific to a product. So you know who is going to be accountable to make that initiative to work. Now that you spoke about the objectives, it's time to think about the strategy. The strategy answers the question, the how. This is how we're going to do things. Action plans. They are very relatable here. So this should be very strategic. Again, if the strategy, the strategic approach that you're going to take involves the action plans, it also is going to define the who is going to do things. So I think the framework that is best to implement here, it's going to be with the 5W and 2H. The 5W and 2H, they're going to answer you all the questions that you need to have, again, more support when you are thinking about your decision making. So 5W and 2H, they're going to answer you the what, the when, the where, the who, and the why. Some of these questions you already answered before, because in the mission and the vision, you already have a set clear of the idea that you want to implement and the why you are implementing the things that you want to implement. Now, these strategies, you need to answer exactly the same ones, but probably the question will be very similar, or the answer will be very similar to what you answered before, because you want everything to be aligned within your club values, within your club vision and mission, of course. Now, the 2H will answer two very important questions that we are going to speak more in the future when you think about the financial side of things, which is the how and how much. How much is going to cost, probably. Now, once you have this in mind, there's a clear ambition for the things that you're doing. There's, again, a guideline, there's a path now. Now you are starting to get people involved. You have action plans. You have people that are responsible. So the accountability also comes into place. So strategy, I will define it as a long-term commitment, a consistent way of looking at things. So when you think about the frameworks that we've been discussing, these frameworks will eventually help you on your decision making. Because by some time, let's say 6 months or 8 months or a year, you're going to have a clear idea about the strategies that worked and the strategies that didn't work so well. Because you have time bounded with the smart objectives. And also on the strategic approach, you have the action plan. When you have the action plans, most likely you're going to also have a timeline of things that have you want to be implemented within certain time. So let's say that your objective is to increase the number of players that you have on your youth academy, on the under 10s, under 12s, or under 14s, on the girls or the boys side. You know exactly what are your objectives, and you're going to learn a tendency, something that you should expect for the future. So even though that sometimes not all the objectives will be achieved, you have some information to use. Let's take another example. You want to implement merch at your club, and you want to implement, let's say, t-shirts. You want to sell your club's t-shirts, and you are expecting to sell 100 t-shirts within 6 months. But after 6 months, you could only sell 80. That means that you are 20 below your objective. However, you have some data. You can already implement that data in the forecast of the 6 months ahead. Or you can even think about the initiatives that within those 6 months you took. And you can see the ones that were successful and the ones that were not so successful. So again, these kind of frameworks, you should be using them, and they exist, for you to implement now within the forecast of the future. Again, decision making. This is the most important thing, and the thing that the frameworks will help you to, again, give you the foundations for you to implement the strategy that you are trying to implement at your club. Now, the challenge is sometimes there are a lot of mistakes. Now, the mistakes is the thing that they'll always happen, but you can try to prevent. You cannot say that you're not going to have mistakes. Of course, you're going to have mistakes. Now, what you want to do is that you want to avoid them. Now, what is a mistake? I've been talking about on this episode about some things that normally happen at football clubs, why they are disorganized. Sometimes the vision and the mission, they are not helping. They are not setting a clear tone for everyone in your organization about what you are trying to achieve. So they might be too broad, too generic, and they're not relatable to the reality that you are involved in. Again, if you are setting to your club's vision to be the greatest club in your country, when you are a small club of a small village, that probably is not going to be a reality within the time frame that you are at the club. It's going to be very challenging. So people need to feel that is relatable to their reality. Another key mistake that people normally take in football is that you take emotions to control whatever the situation is at your club. So now the short term, the shortcuts that you are trying to implement to resolve whatever situation that is at your club, they are not aligned with the long term vision that you have for the club. So that means that you are basically letting emotions control what's happening at your club, where emotions will always be there. Now, football is guided by emotions. We cannot take it out. If I will even say that we cannot take it out because we live on emotions. People are with us because of emotions. Football can give emotions that hardly other elements will give. So we cannot take emotion out. Don't take me wrong. However, emotions cannot control the strategy of your club. Emotion cannot guide your club. If you have a long term, if you have a commitment to the stakeholders, if you clearly state what you want to achieve, you need to have control. You cannot let emotions control that. So short term and long term, they need to be aligned. Even if you need to do something on the short term, it needs to be feeding the long term strategy, objective, vision that you have. Another mistake is not aligning departments. Nothing works separately. Remember, one of the values that are more common in football or in sports, I would say, especially the ones that are playing in teams, is this is a team sport. So if your football club is not working as a team, if there's misalignment within the departments and people are not working together, I would say even using the same kind of communication, that will be a problem that you're going to have to face eventually. Sooner or later, people will come to you and discrepancies will start to appear because people are not aligned. So your job is to make sure that people are aligned, there's a clear communication, a clear path, and everyone knows what to do. Now, another one will be evaluation and monitoring. So annually, at least, at a minimum, at a bare minimum, you need to revisit everything that you've been doing. You need to revisit all the elements that you have. And for those, you're going to use the action plans, of course, the strategies that you implemented, the objectives that you have. That one is key. You need to evaluate whatever happened. You need to monitor, of course, within that year what happened. And most likely, you're going to need to revise your plans because even if you achieve a set number of objectives, you're not going to achieve probably all of them, or at least in 1 year. So maybe you need to revisit. Again, as I told you about the strategies, maybe some strategies are working better than the other ones. So why is that happening? Why are you having more success in one element than the other? Maybe it was not even your fault entirely. Maybe you were expecting to have some new merch and whatever the fabric that was doing, they didn't deliver it on time. So that impacted, of course, the results that you had, the returns that you had, because you didn't have the 3 months that you were expecting to sell the t-shirts. Or maybe there was on your communication, on your social media, maybe some posts that you were not expecting, they had more relevance to your audience than others. So clearly understand that all the departments need to be aligned, and also revise, monitor whatever is happening at your club and within the different departments. That is key for your success. Another element that is key for your success is for you to, of course, evaluate, reassess. So once you do that, now you need to probably adapt whatever you were doing. So monitoring is very important, evaluating is very important, but also readjust. Remember that this is always an open Canva that can change within the time frame that you need to do, like a year, 6 months, 8 months, whatever you decide. Normally, clubs, they work in periods of 4 years. So if you are working at a normal club, even a confederation or a football association, a federation at your country, normally it will be around 4 years that you have to implement your strategies. It's very important for you to do these kind of concepts and even prepare the forecast for the next, even if it's not going to be you need to have a forecast of that. So monitoring, evaluation, and adjustments, they're always going to be needed. We are ending the first episodes of the series. Today we talked about mission, vision, objectives, and of course, strategies to achieve those objectives. I hope this helped you to get a clear idea about things that you need to work at your club. This is only, as we say, a drop in the ocean. There are many more things to do, but it starts here. It starts with the right values, it starts with the right vision, it starts with the right mission, so that they can guide you through your objectives that you want to implement. And then you go to the second layer, which is the action plans, the strategies. But you need to have this. Now, as I told you, majority of the clubs, they don't have this. And we can help football clubs to grow in a more sustainable, consistent, and also to improve the reputation that football has. Because that's my job. That's why I do the things that I do, because we need to provide transparency to the market. We need to provide transparency also to the people that follow us. And we cannot forget emotion. Emotion drives football. So we cannot take emotion. However, we cannot let emotion control us, especially clubs. And sometimes people get offended by thinking that football clubs, they are run as companies. Well, although the passion for the game is there, the emotion is there, when we are working at a football club, we need to make sure that we can deliver whatever we promised. We need to make sure that we have the tools to provide to the other ones the opportunity for them to grow, to shine. Because eventually, when they shine, they're going to create emotions. But if there's no ground, if there's no foundations to support that growth, to support someone to shine, it's going to be very hard for you to be sustainable. So again, think about all the elements that we gave here, that we spoke here. Think about all the frameworks that I provide you, from the SMART objectives to the theory of the 5W and 2H, and how can they help you within your reality. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. And there will be very close by, I will try to do this weekly. There will be another element, another episode that will help you to create the club that you want to create. I'll see you. Thank you.